little bit different for today's video. As you can probably tell by the title, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing, and in the second half of the video I'm just going to do a Q&A, answering some questions that you guys have asked me and kind of giving you a background into my fitness journey, where I've been, what I'm currently doing and where I plan to be in the future. So stay tuned for that later in the video, but for now I'm going to show you the two products that I've recently bought to improve the quality of my vlogging setup. First one is a Rode wireless mic. See a lot of YouTubers using these at the moment. They're meant to be pretty good. It's a wireless microphone, just clips on your lapel or on a hat, and then obviously it's close to your mouth, so it picks you up very well. The reviews on this are very, very good. I've never used it. I'm going to unbox it now for you. Definitely should have bought scissors out. Okay, we're in. Oh, comes with a little case as well. The microphone and the receiver are inside there. These two caterpillar looking things, which are dead cats or dead mice. Charging cables. This is to connect it to the camera. Instructions, who reads those? Let's have a look at the microphone. So we've got one microphone and one receiver. That one's the mic. As you can see on the top there, you've got the microphone. And then this one is the receiver. As you can see, you've got the LCD screen there. So you can see the settings, the channel and the battery life. Pretty neat. I'm going to try and clip it on because some of the reviews said that it pulls the t-shirt down quite far. So as you can see, it does pull the t-shirt down quite a bit, which is why I suppose most people wear hats, because it just clips onto the hat. It's probably a little less obvious. Yeah, I think it is quite annoying, to be fair. Nah, it's not too bad, I suppose. Does the job. The main thing is that it works well, picks up the audio quality well. I'm going to use it today for the walk around the park for the Q&A. It's not too windy, so I don't think we'll need one of the dead cats on it. I mean, these are really small. I don't know if you can see there, but it basically just clips in on there, like that. But I mean, that's going to come off really easily. May just not bother with that for today. See what it sounds like. Then you got the receiver, which obviously goes on top of the camera. It goes on the hot shoe, plugs in the side, plugs into the camera as well. Cool bit of kit. Okay, on to the next item, a gimbal. So this gimbal was reviewed very well on Amazon, so I thought I'd give it a go. It's kind of a low range gimbal, but as I'm just starting out with this, I thought go for one that's a bit lower in price, see how I get on, and then later on I can always upgrade. Feels like Christmas. Comes with a neat little case. All fits in there pretty nice. Looks pretty neat, pretty sleek. I have never used one of these before, by the way, so this is like me learning from scratch when it comes to the gimbal. That bit's obviously an attachment for your phone, and then this bit is like a little tripod stand, and that just goes on the bottom. Put it on the floor or on a worktop when you're not hand holding him. So that's pretty cool. Just extends the handle as well a little bit, so it's not too bad. You can probably keep this on all the time, even if you're using it for handheld, because I mean it's pretty sleek. It's vibrating, don't really know what it's doing. You've got a little LCD screen which obviously tells you the settings. On the back you've got this button here, which I'm not sure what it does just yet, but we're going to find that out. This thing's just got a mind of its own, I think. May have to look at the instructions for this one. Let's turn it off. Yeah, there we go. The connector for the camera, so that's what we want. That's going to slot in there, and that just locks in nice and tightly on there. So to set this up properly, I need to put the camera on here, but obviously the camera is there right now. So I'm going to have a little play around with this. I'm going to charge up the microphone, then go for a little walk. Stay tuned for the rest of the video. A little Q&A coming up, how I got into fitness, why I love it so much, and my current plans and my plans for the future, so stay tuned. Okay, so it's actually the next day now. Yesterday it started chucking it down. It's not much better today, but I'm going to go over my fitness journey and answer some questions for you all. So I first went to the gym when I was 19. I actually got introduced to the gym by one of my good friends, Owen Boxall, who's actually a Commonwealth athlete for Olympic lifting. He first took me to the gym, which was Europa Gym in Erith, and that was an Olympic lifting gym. Really enjoyed it. Obviously got into fitness from there. Tried Olympic lifting. I was never very good at it because I've got long ass arms, long ass legs. Most athletes for Olympic lifting tend to be shorter, stockier, kind of gymnastics background, like flexible, which just wasn't me. So let's turn that down a bit. I was there for about a year and a half, and then I moved to Beefs and Babes gym, which is in Greenhive, which is a bodybuilding gym. Now when I got there, I started focusing more kind of bodybuilding style of training. So from there I kind of concentrated more on contracting the muscle, trying to build the muscle, rather than doing it from a functional standpoint with something like Olympic lifting. Did that for a few years and then decided to do my first competition. So I prepped myself for that, didn't tell anyone I was doing it, I just kind of did it. Back then obviously you think you know what you're doing and stuff like that, but I really didn't, to be honest. Kind of prepped myself and went into that show. And I remember cheating on my diet 2 weeks out from the show, smashing peanut butter from the jar. Condition for that show was not great, as you can imagine. First show gave me a bit of experience, and it was from there I trained for another year and a half, decided to do another show, take it a bit more seriously, so I hired a coach and did those 2 shows. When I started there, I think my body weight was about 100 kilos, and I actually dropped down to 84, so I was 84 kilos on show day, which is obviously a big bloody drop. Lost a lot of muscle mass doing that as well. The person that coached me for that show, he knows a lot, he knows his stuff, but I think looking back at it now, from my experience now, I was definitely over dieted. There was never any refeeds or practice carb ups or anything like that to try and see what would get me in peak condition. So I think it was kind of just going in at a whim, and I was still very flat. I remember having 400 grams of carbs 2 or 3 days leading up to the show, and looking back at those stage pictures, I was very flat and very over dieted. It was after that show it actually gave me a bit of an eating disorder, and I've never really spoken to anyone, well, a few people, but I've never really spoken openly about this. 4 or 5 years after that, I was kind of in and out of this binge eating cycle of eating everything and then overtraining, trying to compensate for it, and it just doesn't work. You can't out-train a bad diet, so it's not something I would advise at all. And it's something that's very common with competition preps, because people are basically slowly starving themselves over time, and then you get to a point post-show, and if you don't have a plan in place, you pig out, and then okay, maybe for a week after the show that might be fine. At the same time, it's not a healthy way to do things, and if you don't get on top of it and in control of it quickly, then it's definitely something that will eat you up for a long time, like me. My plan now is prep for a show again next year. Now I've hired myself another coach for this, which is Mr. Josh Bridgman, who obviously just won his pro card. He's now an IFBB pro athlete, which is absolutely awesome. The reason I've hired Josh is so that makes me accountable. I mean, I could have prepped myself, but I think that would have been silly, because when you're doing a prep, you get to that point where your body starts to play mind games on you. You start to think, oh, do I need a refeed? Am I too flat? Am I dropping too quickly? Am I not dropping enough? Am I going to be lean enough? All these thoughts come into your head, and you just need someone there just to kind of say, like, yes, keep doing what you're doing. You know, you're on the right track, you're on the right path, so just keep it up. So that's kind of why people hire coaches. Even PTs, even online coaches, they need coaches as well. And also you can learn from these people. You know, you don't know everything, no one knows everything. So it's definitely good to invest in yourself by hiring yourself a coach. Josh is going to be overseeing the prep for next year. I'm working with Josh for a whole year, so I know realistically now I would not place well in men's physique, but I think with one good off season, I mean a really good off season, and we put on some good tissue, then maybe we might stand a chance. People always say that I'm very harsh on myself and I don't give myself enough credit, but at the same time I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I don't like to do things unless I am good at them. So I mean, if it gets to a point next year I feel that I'm not good enough to compete, then I probably won't do it. And obviously Josh is there to give me advice on what he thinks, and to be honest, he knows more than me. So if he says, you know what, yeah, I think you'll do well, then I'll definitely go for it regardless of what I think. But I feel like to do a prep, you've definitely got to be in the right headspace. and you've got to want to do it. Another reason for a coach is the accountability for after, so it's not just during the prep, it's actually the after. If you don't have a plan in place after prep, then you're just going to be in a downward spiral. You're going to get to the end of that show and then you're going to think, what now? You're not going to have a goal set, or if you haven't got a goal set, then you're not going to have a goal to work towards, and you're just going to think, you know, you're just going to go all out. So it's got to be very sensible in that sense. And then the future plan, depending on how well I place or how well I do in that show, will depend where I go from there. So maybe I'll compete the year after. If I don't feel like I'm big enough or stand a chance next year, then I'll postpone it to the year after, because I want to do well in it. I don't just want to do it for the sake of it. I've done that 3 times before. This time I actually want to do well. That's kind of a brief overview of where I started training, my journey up till now, and kind of what my plans are for the future. I think everyone would like to go pro, but that's not really achievable for everyone. Genetically, or putting in the hard work. Some people just haven't got it, but that doesn't mean that you can't work hard to get there. So you can't always blame genetics. I always say, like, oh, my arms are smaller because I've got longer muscle bellies, because I've got longer limbs, stuff like that. Yeah, partly true genetically, but that doesn't mean you can't get big arms. Like, there's plenty of people out there that are long limbs that have got big arms. Don't use that as an excuse. You know, you can get there. I feel like I've spoken enough. Let's find a little bench, perch up. Let's do that Q&A. Right, the audio quality should have improved now, because like an absolute knobhead, I forgot to plug the microphone in. Checking it's on, good. Yeah, so you should notice a significant increase in the audio quality now. Gonna go find a bench, sit down, do this Q&A. Got to try and find a bench that's relatively dry, so I don't get a wet ass. So we're there. Literally had so many dramas today with the gimbal, the microphone, and then I went down to do this bit and the battery ran out. And to do the battery you have to take the gimbal apart. Anyway, whatever. Okay, getting on to this Q&A. So I put out a post last night on Instagram for people to just ask me questions, and then I'm just going to go through and answer those questions now. So the first question that I got asked is, am I excited to prep for stage? I think when you've been in a calorie surplus for that long, you look forward to a dieting phase. And although prep's a bit of an extreme of a diet phase, it is exciting because all of the effort that you put in your off season to gain muscle gets shown on stage. So it is an exciting process, and I'd say, yeah, I'm definitely excited to prep for a show. Like I said earlier, I just feel like I need to get bigger in order to be competitive. So that's my focus for now, but yeah, I'm definitely excited to get my teeth into prep next year. How do I juggle conflicting commitments, gym goals and family life, etc.? So in terms of my goals are fitness related, so that involves the gym. So the gym and my goals are kind of one, so that's pretty easy. In terms of like family life and stuff, it's definitely difficult. At times it gets very, very difficult, especially with a 2-year-old, because they're very, very active, very on the go all the time, and you can't always sit down and do what you need to do in terms of client work, or in terms of like editing videos and stuff like that, because they take up most of your time, obviously. My wife's in the army, so she's away during the week and back at weekends, so all week I'm looking after little man and doing my client work, doing my own training, so it can get very, very on top of you, but you just have to write out a plan. So if you write out a plan for the week, and do it by day as well, so then you know exactly what you're doing each day. You don't necessarily have to write times for it, but I mean, it can be helpful. If you've got that plan in place, then it's just ticking boxes, and I find that's the easiest way. I'm definitely someone that works well with just ticking boxes. So if you write out what you need to do, you just tick it off when it's done. So if you know you've got to hit 10,000 steps a day, you've got to work 9 till 5, and you've got to get to the gym, and you've got a little one to put to bed, say, you know you need to manage your time efficiently. So whether you train before work in the morning, or if you've got to do a school run, maybe you can't do that. So maybe you've got to do the school run in the morning, get yourself ready, work 9 till 5, and then in the evening you've got to cook dinner, put little one to bed, and then go train after that. So it can be tough after doing that all day, but if your goals and your motivation outweighs that tiredness, then you can still do it. You can definitely do it. I mean, it does get difficult at times, like I say, but it's definitely doable. Okay, next one is what made me become a PT. So I think it's my drive to help people. and I love to teach people things. So I looked into becoming a teacher once upon a time, and I didn't really go through with that because there was too many like qualifications and stuff that I had to get in order to do that, and I wanted to teach something that I know well, and the two things I know well are fitness and photography. So I looked at becoming a photography tutor at college and stuff like that, but decided just to follow my passion for fitness. I think it's relevant when I'm doing fitness myself, and I can relay that to other people, and then the things that I learn I can then pass on. Becoming a PT, I get to help people, so my satisfaction is people getting results, and I absolutely thrive off of it. I absolutely love it, and that is my job, to get people results. Yeah, you've definitely got to do something you enjoy, and also doing stuff like this, I get to use my photography as well by videoing vlogs and doing photos and stuff like that as well, so it's all merged into one. Okay, this is a good question. Will you encourage your kids to get into fitness as they get older, or let them find it themselves? So I think it's a very interesting question, because being active, I would like Oscar to be active, but in whatever way he wanted. So if he wanted to play football, he could play football. If he wanted to play basketball, he could play basketball. I think as long as he did something active to get out of the house, and he's not one of these hermits that just spends 24/7 on the computer, then I think I'd be happy with that. But at the end of the day, it's down to him. It's his life. But in terms of encouraging him to do it, yeah, I'd definitely encourage him to do something fitness related, not necessarily gym, but But then I feel like gym helps every sport out there. So lifting weights is definitely beneficial for all sports out there. Maybe not bowls, but yeah, I'll definitely try and make sure he's active for sure. Interesting as well, because the person that asked that question, his dad trains, and when he first started coming to the gym, he used to train with his dad. So I feel like, I'm guessing, it's just a guess here, he looked up to his dad. His dad's in good shape, so he went to go to the gym to be in good shape like his dad. So I suppose it follows on. I mean, if you're watching this, I'm sure you can fire back to me and let me know about that one. Another question is, what is my favourite body part to train on each muscle group? Okay, let's work from top to bottom. So my favourite back exercise is, at the minute, it's the Nautilus row at Crayford, because I just get such a good contraction with that. The weight's flying up on that, so I'm really enjoying that movement at the minute. For chest, I'd probably say it's definitely the incline side legs at the minute, so an incline machine press. For shoulders, I'd say it is standing cuff lateral raises. You can do them lying down as well. I particularly like the standing ones. For legs, I would say legs is a tough one, because for me, I just go in and get it done. But if I had to pick a favourite exercise, it would probably be leg extensions at the minute. And the reason for that is because I'm progressing every week. Because obviously my knees were knackered before, I couldn't even do a leg extension. So now that's kind of the exercise that I've been building up over time, and it's not really plateaued yet. So I'm really enjoying doing leg extension. So those are my top exercises, my favourite exercises for each body part. Someone's asked what the best shoulder exercises are, so I'm guessing that they're asking the best shoulder exercises for the whole shoulder. So obviously the shoulder's split into 3 heads, and I would say you've got to make sure you get a main pressing movement in there. You've got to make sure you get some laterals in there. Maybe do the laterals first, as that will put most of your emphasis on that lateral head, and it'll also work it in the contracted position, because we know that as we get further into the workouts, it's harder to get in that contracted position, so it's always good to start with a lateral. I'd recommend lying cuff lateral raises or standing cuff lateral raises. Then you need to get some kind of press in there, some kind of heavy press, so either a machine or dumbbells or barbell, whatever you prefer. And in terms of isolating the front delt, I'd say plate raises are always a favourite, or you can do things like dumbbell raises, upright rows, things like that, work your shoulder. I suppose the main important thing is, no matter what exercise you do, is to keep it controlled. Keep it controlled, feel the stretch, feel the contraction, make your negatives as slow as your positives, and just make sure you're hitting all 3 heads, because that's going to give you that nice round delt, that nice round shoulder. Alright, so I think that's enough questions. I think I answered like 4 or 5 there. If you've got any more questions, drop them in the comment section below. Next time I do a Q&A, I will answer those questions for you. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.